Hello students, I am Kirti from Computer Science Department, GSIPU College, Mysuru. So in the previous session we have discussed about the library functions. So in this session we are going to study about in detail about the library functions. So what are library functions? The built-in functions are called as the library functions. So what are library functions? Built-in functions. Built-in functions. So which are all the built-in functions are there? We have mathematical functions, character functions, string functions, as well as standard library functions, First one is mathematical functions. The header file used for mathematical functions are math.h. Math.h is the header file we use for mathematical functions. So if I want to include any one of the mathematical function in our C++ program, then I should compulsorily include this math.h header file. So now let's see which all the mathematical functions are available. The first one is sine of x, which is nothing but here we are finding sine of an angle x, sine of an angle x. Next is cos of x. So here we are finding cosine of an angle x. So these are all measured in terms of radians. And next is tan of x, which is nothing but here we are finding the tangent of an angle x. Next is a cos of x. Here we are finding cos inverse of x. Cos inverse of x. Next, a sin x. Here we are finding sin inverse of an angle x. Next is exponent. Exponential of x. Here we are finding the exponential function of x. Exponential function of x. Next is log of x. Here we are finding the logarithm of x. Next is logarithm of x. Next is log 10 of x. Here we are finding the logarithm of x of base 10. Logarithm of a number x to base 10. To base 10. Next is square root of x. Square root of x. So this function is used to find the square root of x. To find the square root of x. This power of x comma y. So this function is used to find x to raise y. X to raise y, which is nothing but the power of x. To find the power of x to raise y, we use power function. Next is absolute function. This is used to find the absolute value of x. And if abs of x, this function is used to find the absolute value of the real number x. Absolute value of the real number x. So these are all the mathematical functions. So if I want to use any one of these functions in our C++ program, then I should compulsorily include math.h header file in our C++ program. Next, let's see the character functions. So to use character functions, we have to use ctype.h header file in our C++ program. We have to use ctype.h header file. So what are all the character functions available? First one is alpha function. So it returns the value. It returns true. It returns true when C is of uppercase character. Uppercase character. Else it returns false. Else it returns false. Next is a digit function. Is digit function. So it returns true when C is a digit from 0 to 9. It returns true when C is a digit from 0 to 9, else it returns false. Else it returns false. Next is all-num function. So here this function will check or it will return true when C is of alphabets from A to Z, or it should be a digits from 0 to 9, else it will return false. Next is lower function. So this function returns true when C is of lowercase letters. If it is lowercase letters, then this function will return true, else it will return false. Next function is upper function. This upper function returns true when C is of uppercase characters, else it will return false. Next is to upper and to lower function. To upper function is used to convert C to uppercase characters. It is used to convert C to uppercase letter. And next is to lower. So this function is used to convert C to lowercase letter. Convert C to lowercase letter. So these are the character functions. So if I want to use character functions, then I have to include ctype.h header file. So is alpha function returns true when C is of uppercase characters, else it will return false. Next one is digit function. So it returns true when C is of a digit from 0 to 9, else it will return false. And next function is all-num function. So this function returns true when C is of, it should be an alphabets from A to Z, or it should be a digits from 0 to 9, else it will return false. Next is lower function. So this function is used to check whether C is of lowercase letter. So if it is a lowercase letter, then it will return true. True if it is a lowercase letter. Lowercase letter. Else it will return false. Next is this upper function. So this function is used to check whether C is of uppercase letter or not. If it is uppercase letter, it will return true, else it will return false. True in the case of uppercase letter. Uppercase letter. Next is to upper function. It is used to convert C to uppercase letter, and to lower function is used to convert C to lowercase letter. So these are all the character functions. Next is string functions. What are string functions? So to use string functions, we have to include string.h header file. String.h header file in our C++ program. So now let's see which all the string functions are available. First function is string length function. So this string length function is used to find the length of the string S including spaces. So it is used to find out the length of a string including spaces. For example, if string S contains computer, then what will be the length of this string S? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it returns 8. So this is how this function will work. Next function is string copy. So string copy function is used to copy the contents of string S2 to the string S1. It is used to copy the contents of string S2 to string S1. It copies the character string S2 to string S1. For example, S2 contains computer. So if I want to copy the contents, so then string copy S1 comma S2. Now the string S1 contains computer. Next is string concatenate. String concatenate. String concatenate S1 comma S2. So it concatenates the contents of string S2 to the end of the string S1. Concatenates the contents of string S2 to the end of string S1. Suppose S1 contains computer and S2 contains science, then it returns computer science. Then it returns computer science. If you use this string concatenate function, then it will return computer science as output. Next function is string compare function. String compare function S1 comma S2 is equal to 0 and string compare S2 is greater. So the string compare function is used to compare whether string S1 is equal to string S2, or to compare string S1 is greater than string S2, or to compare to check S1 is less than S2. We use the string compare function. And next is string compare I, which ignores the case and find out whether string S1 is equal to string S2 or string S1 is greater than S2, and to find out whether string S1 is less than string S2 or not. So here we are ignoring the case. And next string function is string reverse function. So string reverse function is used to reverse the string S. It is used to reverse the string S. For example, S contains as it is computer. So if I use string reverse function, then it returns the output as RETUPMOC as the output. After performing the reverse operation, the output will be like this. And next function is string upper function. So the string upper function is used to convert the string S to the uppercase, to convert string S to uppercase. S to uppercase. Next function is string lower function. So this string lower function is used to convert the string S to lowercase. To convert string S to lowercase. So these are all the string functions. To use these functions in our C++ program, we should compulsorily include string.h header file in the header section. Next type of function is console input output functions. Next is console input output functions. Console input output functions. To use these functions, we have to include stdio.h as the header file. So which are all the console input output functions? First one is getChar function. So it returns a single character from a standard input device. It does not take any parameter, and returned value is the input character. It returns a single character. From a standard input device, and it does not accept any parameter and returns a value which is accepted as a character here. Next is putChar function. So putChar function is used to, it takes one argument. It takes one argument which has to be printed on the output screen. It takes one argument which has to be sent. It takes one argument which is a character to be sent on the output device, and it returns a value which is going to be displayed on the display screen as the output. Next is getDes function. So it gets a string from the standard input device. It gets a string from a standard input device. And next is putS function. This putS function, it takes a string which is to be displayed on the output device. It takes a string to be displayed on output screen, displayed on output screen. So these are all the console input output functions. And next type of function is standard library functions. So which are all the standard library functions? So to use standard library functions, we have to include stdlib.h, general purpose, standard library functions, standard library functions. So to use these functions, we have to include stdlib.h as the header file in our C++ program. So the first function is a randomize function. Randomize function. So it initializes a random number generator with a random number. It initializes a random number generator with a random number. Next function is random of n. So this function is used to generate a random number between 0 to n-1. It generates a random number from 0 to n-1. 0 to n-1. Next is toy function. Toy, yes. So this function converts the string s into its numerical representation. It is used to convert string s to its numerical representation. Numerical representation. Next is, so this function converts a number to a string. So this function converts a number n to string. So which are all the standard library functions? Randomize function, it initializes a random number generator with a random number. So random of n. So this random function is used to generate a random number from 0 to n-1. And this toy of s function is used to convert string s to its numerical generator, numerical representation. And itoa function is used to convert a number n to string. So in this session we have studied about string functions, console input output functions and standard library functions. To use mathematical functions, we have to use math.h header file. To use string functions, we have to use string.h header file. To use character functions, we have to use ctype.h header file, and to use console input output functions, we have to use stdio.h, and to use general purpose standard library functions, we have to use stdlib.h header files. So this completes this chapter. Thank you.